My pond. I have a fish pond out back that harbors little things. Some swim, crawl, jump, and some have wings. What I like best of all is dressed in white and green. He is very shy, you see, and dislikes being seen. He plays among the lily pads and splashes all about. He makes the little children giggle, laugh, and shout. I have given him a name, you can bet on that. It isn't Mary, Tom, or Mike, but Pat. He's green on top, with big green eyes, white on the bottom, and he catches flies. Have you guessed what he is? Well, for heaven's sake, it's Froggies! Lesson 36 Phonics. First, we're going to practice our vowels. A says A. E says E. I says I. O says ah. U says Okay, now let's review our consonants. S says S as in squirrel. S says S, S, S. L says L as in ladybug. L says L, L, L. B says B as in badger. B says B, B, B. M says as in maple. M says H says as in hedgehog. H says C says k as in cricket. C says k, k, k. N says n as in nest. N says n. T says t as in tree stump. T says t, t, t. Okay, guess what? We get to learn a new letter today. So last time we counted and we found out that we know 12 letters. Well, this will make the number 13. This is the fourth letter of the alphabet. This is the letter D. What is that a picture of on the card? What is that? That's a deer. There's a deer there because deer starts with D and it sounds like D, D, deer. D says D as in deer. D says D, D, D. Now let's look at our cursive letter D. It is very similar. Same picture, deer. D says D as in deer. D says D, D, D. Now this is our capital D. It's very tall. It goes from the upstairs to the downstairs floor. And then a big curve, kind of like half a circle on the side. Now I decorated the small d a little bit. It doesn't normally look like that. Of course, you can see what the little d looks like here. That's what it looks like. But here on this letter D, I drew a diaper.
because D starts with this, D makes the sound D, D, as in diaper. You can see her diaper's kind of stinky. So remember, with the letter D, the ball, it's a straight stick with a ball on the back that looks like a D, D, diaper. So capital D, little d. We could say D says D as in diaper. So remember, the ball goes on the back like a D, D, diaper. Okay, get your clappers ready. I'm going to read some words. And you clap if the word starts with the D sound. Ready? Donkey. Donut. Dime. Yes. Penny. D, penny. D, penny. No, not that one. Dad. Yes. Dig. Yes. Elephant. No clapping there. Egg. No. Doll. Yes. D, d, doll. Truck. Dog. Duck. Deer. Yes, of course. The last one. I'm not going to clap. You see if you think you should clap or not. Dust. Does dust start with the sound D? Today is numbers lesson 36. Now you see on my board it says lesson 36. There are some times that this number will be different than the number that I showed you when we started phonics. Sometimes the lessons won't be exactly the same. And the reason for that is I'm skipping all the tests that are in the book. And so this helps me know where to go in the lesson plans. Doesn't have anything to do with you really. Just so don't get confused by that. See this new picture that I made to help us count our numbers. And you see we have the ones family. They all live in this house. Here we have the tens family, or you could say the teen family. They all have a 1 in the front and they live in this house. Here is the 20 family, the 30 family, and so on. We are not counting that far yet. We will, but not yet. So today we're going to start counting the entire ones family, the entire teens family, and we will stop at the daddy of the 20 family, which is the number 20. So let's get started. We're not going to start at 0. We're going to start at 1. That's usually where we start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's count again just the teen family. We'll do it slower. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good job. Okay, we're going to take that away. We only have 2 more things that we're going to do today. Here I have our number cards, and this time they're all mixed up. Now I don't have the high numbers like 17, 18, 19, and 20, and I don't have the low numbers like the numbers 1 through 5. I just have the numbers that maybe we need to practice with. So when I show the number, you tell me what that number is. Which number is this? This is the number 8. $11, 16, 10, 14. We know that it's 14 because it has a 1 in front of it. 14. Which number is this? 6. Do you remember this one? This one is a little bit different. It is a number of the teen family, even though we don't say teen. This is the number 12. We don't say 12 teen, and we don't say 2 teen. We just say 12. This number has a different name, even though it's still part of the teen family. 15. 9, 7, I think just one left. The number is 13. Okay, here is our last project. I have lots of different digits. The only digit I don't have is I don't have a 0 because it didn't come in my set. So I cannot make the number 10. But we're going to work on making all the numbers in the teen family. So we know all the numbers in the teen family have a 1 at the beginning. So we'll start right here. We have a 1. How do I make the number 11? The number 11 has a 1 and a 1. Now we have 11. Okay, let's put this one back. How do we make 12? We need a 1 and a 2. Now we have 12. Bye-bye. How do we make 13? We need a 1 and a 3. 13. How do we make 14? That's easy. 1 and 4. 14. How do we make 15? We take 1 and 5 for 15. And the last one we're going to do, how do we make the number 16? This is a 6, this is a 9. We take the number 6 and put it in front of the 1. Now we have 16. Phonics review for lesson 36. Here I have some blend cards. They're all mixed up. They don't all belong in the same blend letter. We are going to practice reading the blend cards. I'm not going to try them super slow. I'm not going to say nah. I'm just going to read nah. Are you ready? Nah. L. Be. T. N. Le. B. Last one. Nope, not the last one. Ne. This is the last one. What does it say? O-I, li. All done.
The Tale of Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Once upon a time, there was a frog called Mr. Jeremy Fisher. He lived in a little damp house amongst the buttercups at the edge of a pond. The water was all slippy-sloppy in the larder and in the back passage. But Mr. Jeremy liked getting his feet wet. Nobody ever scolded him, and he never caught a cold. He was quite pleased when he looked out and saw large drops of rain splashing in the pond. "I will get some worms and go fishing and catch a dish of minnows for my dinner," said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. "If I catch more than 5 fish, I will invite my friends, Mr. Alderman Ptolemy Tortoise and Sir Isaac Newton. The alderman, however, eats salad." Mr. Jeremy put on a mackintosh, that's his jacket, and a pair of shiny galoshes. Galoshes are like little rubber shoes that you put over your other shoes to keep them from getting wet. He took his rod and basket and set off with enormous hops to the place where he kept his boat. The boat was round and green and very like the other lily leaves. It was tied to a water plant in the middle of the pond. Mr. Jeremy took a reed pole and pushed the boat out into open water. "I know a good place for minnows," said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Mr. Jeremy stuck his pole into the mud and fastened the boat to it. Then he settled himself cross-legged and arranged his fishing tackle. He had the dearest little red float. That's his bobber. His rod was a tough stalk of grass. His line was a fine, long, white horsehair. And he tied a little wriggling worm at the end. The rain trickled down his back, and for nearly an hour he stared at the float. "This is getting tiresome. I think I should like some lunch," said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. He punted back again amongst the water plants and took some lunch out of his basket. "I will eat a butterfly sandwich and wait till the shower is over," said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. A great big water beetle came up underneath the lily leaf and tweaked the toe of one of his galoshes. Mr. Jeremy crossed his legs up shorter out of reach and went on eating his sandwich. Once or twice, something moved about with a rustle and splash amongst the rushes at the side of the pond. "I trust that is not a rat," said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. "I think I had better get away from here." Mr. Jeremy shoved the boat out again a little way and dropped in the bait. There was a bite almost directly. The float gave a tremendous bobbit. "A minnow! A minnow! I have him by the nose!" cried Mr. Jeremy Fisher, jerking up his rod. But what a horrible surprise! Instead of a smooth, fat minnow, Mr. Jeremy landed little black Sharp the stickleback, covered with spines. The stickleback floundered about the boat, pricking and snapping until he was quite out of breath. Then he jumped back into the water. And a shoal of other little fishes put their heads out and laughed at Mr. Jeremy Fisher. And while Mr. Jeremy sat disconsolately on the edge of his boat, sucking his sore fingers and peering down into the water, a much worse thing happened. A really frightful thing it would have been if Mr. Jeremy had not been wearing a Macintosh. A great big, enormous trout came up, ker-plop, with a splash. And it seized Mr. Jeremy with a snap. Ow, ow, ow! And then it turned and dived down to the bottom of the pond. But the trout was so displeased with the taste of the Macintosh that in less than half a minute it spat him out again, and the only thing it swallowed was Mr. Jeremy's galoshes. Mr. Jeremy bounced up to the surface of the water like a cork in the bubbles out of a soda water bottle, and he swam with all his might to the edge of the pond. He scrambled out on the first bank he came to, and he hopped home across the meadow with his Macintosh all in tatters. "What a mercy that was not a pike!" said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. "I have lost my rod and basket, but it does not much matter, for I am sure I should never have dared to go fishing again." He put some sticking plaster on his fingers, that's Band-Aids, and his friends both came to dinner. He could not offer them fish, but he had something else in his larder. Sir Isaac Newton wore his black and gold waistcoat. And Mr. Alderman Ptolemy Tortoise brought a salad with him in a string bag. And instead of a nice dish of minnows, they had a roasted grasshopper with ladybird sauce, which frogs consider a beautiful treat. But I think it must have been nasty. The end. First Timothy 6:6 and 7. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. 1 Timothy 6:6 and 7.